Your Etsy photos, from your mockup photo to all of your other photos, play such a massive role in your conversion rate and your sales. And so in today's video, I'm covering my Etsy photo strategy that has brought me to just shy of 1.5 million on Etsy. And I'll also be sharing my quick tip on how to make videos that actually help that listing sell. So the first thing that you need to know about Etsy is they actually have two sizes that they show your photos in. In your main photo, sometimes it's going to show up as a square. Sometimes in different searches, it's going to show up as a 4:3 ratio rectangle. So whether you start your mockups as a square ratio or you start them as a rectangle ratio, you need to make sure that they're actually going to show up and be clickable. So make sure they're visible in both types of sizes. So if it's a 4:3 rectangle, I do 2700 by 2025 pixels. And that is that 4:3 ratio that you see here. And then often what I'll do is I'll also just drag in some rulers so that I can also see how this is going to appear as a square. So depending on which person is seeing which ratio, that no matter what, my photos look good. So when you are creating a mockup, I like to make sure, again, that it can be viewed at both ratios. I like to make sure that there's no wrinkles. I like to make sure that there's no hair in the way, there's no jewelry in the way of my design, that my design is not being cut off, that say if I have a model photo, she's not turned to the side so that someone might be blocking the design. Your design needs to be front and center and be extremely easy to spot out from that tiny little view people get on the Etsy search page. I also make sure that I have a mock-up for every single color that I offer. And for some of you, you might be thinking, wait, I have like 50 different colors. What I do is I actually only offer a maximum of 7 colors at a time because I do believe in decision fatigue. There are so many reported studies on having too many options. It's kind of like Netflix and they have so many options out there that you can't just pick one movie to watch. But if you had 3, it is way quicker to decide and be happy with the movie option that you picked. This way, I am able to make a mock-up of every single color because chances are if you don't have a mock-up of a certain color, people are not going to buy it anyway. People want to know what their product is going to look like when it delivers, and that is through photos. So scrolling down, you'll see that I have a few different color options in here that I want to offer my design on. One thing I also do with my photos is I always make sure that I'm labeling the color. Yes, on Etsy, there is an option to link a variant to a certain color, but I find that just takes more time and I prefer just to have the color name in the top of my mockup so there's never any confusion from a customer as to what color they're going to be getting when they select the colors in your dropdown. In my photos, I also want to make sure that people understand what this is going to look like when fully printed. So you can see here, a lot of my photos are folded mockups, but perhaps someone might be wondering, okay, what does this actually look like on a person? In that case, I might offer as well 1 or 2 mockups of a model wearing them so that people are not confused at all on what this is going to look like. Helping people get a clear picture of what they're going to be getting is going to do your listing so much benefit. If you're selling a candle, for example, and your main photo is of the candle sitting on a desk, you might want to have another photo of somebody holding the candle so people can actually understand the scale of the candle that they're going to be getting. If you have mugs, for example, and you're offering both the 11-ounce size and the 15-ounce size, showing a photo of both of those sizes beside each other and maybe different photos of someone holding both of the different mugs so people can see how big these are going to be when they arrive. The next question we need to be asking ourselves when trying to pick our photos is what information does someone need to make a purchase? And if you're selling apparel, they're absolutely going to need a size guide. The size guide just has all your sizes along with the measurements, but something that has recently been all over Etsy, and I'm surprised it actually wasn't big before really in the last year, is having a fit guide. And that fit guide is an image like this of one model wearing every single different size so that people can get a better visual representation of what the different sizes look like on somebody. Yes, we might have sizes. We might know something is a 22 in length and a 28 in width. Chances are majority of people, including me, are not going to actually measure it. And I'm just going to go based off of my sizing that I'm usually a medium, so I'll order a medium. But offering this visual right here can really help people know if they want to order perhaps an oversized fit or an undersized fit. And I have found that adding this fit guide has made such a difference in complaints from people. I'm getting a whole lot less people confused about sizing, returning because of sizing issues, complaining because they thought they were getting an oversized shirt when they weren't. This has cleared up so much customer hesitancy and questions. One thing you may have seen a lot is people actually getting size guide videos for their Etsy listing. And actually for me, I am pretty against those, and here's why. When you are scrolling on Etsy, when a photo catches your eye, you typically, maybe you don't even realize you do it, but you are going to hover your mouse on top of that and you're going to zoom in perhaps or click on it. And as you go through these, some videos do awesome. This one here gives you a better scroll of what this looks like, but the ones that have selected a mock-up video, when someone actually hovers on your design, now it takes you away from what your design looks like and just shows them this video that has nothing to do with your design. And in fact, they seem to have fixed it. But before, when you hovered on this, it would actually get stuck as the video. So now I couldn't see your design at all. So scrolling down, I feel like people are way more likely to click when they're not quickly guided away from what your design looks like, when they're expecting to see a better version, a zoom in. And if your option is to not have a video or have the size guide video, I would go not having a video at all. But at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a trick to creating a video that actually is going to do your design justice. Now, once you've helped them understand what your product's going to look like, what the sizing is like, if the sizing is going to be right for them, next you need to make sure you are addressing any other possible questions or concerns that might have someone stopping from purchasing from you. Especially if you are a brand new seller, people don't have any reviews to trust you yet. So you actually need to try to get confidence and trust in your store through offering quality guarantees or refund guarantees. Because especially as a brand new seller, if you do not have reviews, people have very little reason to trust in you as a seller. But by offering these guarantees, people at least know that if they're not happy or if the product is subpar, that they're going to be able to get their money back. So personally now, and at the beginning, I did not offer refunds and exchanges. But if you are a brand new seller, it might give you quite a bit of an advantage to offering refunds and exchanges because, again, you do not have that trust built up. So that might be the tipping point, which gets someone to trust and start purchasing from your store. And then you could flip your refunds and exchange policies later down the line if you prefer. But either way, you should be offering a quality guarantee, and you can change the wording depending on which you offer. So if you actually don't offer refunds and exchanges, you can word it something like, we want you to love your sweatshirt product order. If there's ever a printing issue or defect, just send us a photo and we'll make it right with a refund or replacement. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. But if you do offer refunds and exchanges, you could say something like, love it or your money back, free refunds and exchanges if you are not happy, no hassle, no stress. And that way it's a little bit less vague on how simple it is to get a refund or exchange. But either way, if you are a tiny seller, you're brand new, or you're an established store, having guarantees is going to majorly benefit you. It's already in your policies, and a lot of times our printers, I use Printify for example, will refund and exchange products that have any quality issues. So this isn't out of my pocket, but it is just reassuring my customers before they purchase from me. That card, along with the rest of the upcoming cards, are all going to be about building trust with our customers and trying to sell them and ensure that what they're getting is a high quality product. So I also usually have an about card that just has any benefits or information that someone might need to know that places us as more trustworthy. So perhaps you ship in the US and all of your customers are in the US, especially right now among all these tariffs. People are wanting to shop in their local country, their domestic country. And so highlighting that is very important. So if you print in the US and ship to the US, highlighting that. If you print in Canada and you sell Canada shirts, for example, I would highly recommend highlighting that. And then things like high quality DTF printing and carefully selected soft products, quality guaranteed, and then letting people know that there's quick delivery, but you do have to specify that this is the US or wherever you get that quick delivery if you're shipping to that location. Though you do have to keep in mind, this might get people internationally not to purchase from you. So depending on your store, you can include some of these or leave some of these out. If you've made sure that you've gone and picked eco-friendly products, make sure that is something highlighted. That could probably have its own card altogether. If with purchases, you are also donating to a cause, make sure that you are highlighting that and that people are seeing that. Again, these photos that you are adding on top of your mockups are going to be sales focused. One thing you should note is in your photos, you should not be mentioning anything negative. Everything should have have a positive spin on it. So for example, again, if you don't offer refunds and exchanges, you should not have a card that says no refunds or exchanges. Instead, use that quality guarantee. People will see your refunds and exchange policies on Etsy. You can also include it in your description. But if it is not going to be getting people to trust you more and actually pull back from you, do not include that in your cards. I wouldn't include anything about perhaps that when your order arrives, that the color might be slightly different, that the pictures might be slightly off. Nothing like that. No disclaimers in your photos. That can be in your description. And then your last photo is optional. And this can be a review that highlights and backs up a lot of what you already said in your cards. So for example, perhaps someone left a review for you that stated how fast the shipping was, how good the quality was, how when they washed it, it didn't fade out, how they wear it every day, how it's super soft, because then you are extra backing up those claims you made earlier through a legit review. This especially works if perhaps you've sold on Shopify before, you've sold in person before, and you don't yet have Etsy reviews, or again, even if you have thousands of Etsy reviews, bringing in that one that really states and has multiple different points as to how good a seller you are, and not just a random one that says, oh, I love it, thanks, but one again that backs up all those earlier claims. If, for example, you're selling a different product we didn't talk about today, and you can't really think about the possible concerns one might have from purchasing from you, you can also go to ChatGPT to just get some ideas. You can ask something like, what are possible questions or concerns one might have when purchasing a sweatshirt off of Etsy? And they're going to bring up a list of things. Fit and sizing, we addressed that. Material and comfort, we mentioned that it was soft. Color accuracy, something like, is the color in the photo the same as real life? And again, if your answer is going to be slightly negative or off-putting, but still important information, put that in your description and not in your sales photos. Things like print quality and longevity, we can definitely talk about that and bring that in through a review. We can bring that in through a guarantee, or bring that in through our about page or our about card there. Care instructions, this might be something that you might want to highlight on a card, but if it's not a benefit, put it in your description. Measurements, do we have a size chart? Yes, we do. Value and pricing, why is this 40 plus when I can get a sweatshirt for $20? Well, we talked about all our benefits there. We built up the trust with people already. We talked about how good quality this is, and people obviously know if they're buying a shirt for $7, it probably isn't going to be that good of quality versus when you're spending $40 on something. Shipping and delivery, Etsy kind of already covers that, but if you can guarantee quick shipping, another thing to highlight. Gift worthiness, does it come in nice packaging? Can I include a gift note? If you can, and again, that's a benefit, put it in your photos. Return exchange policy, if you can't offer it, put it in your description. You are getting the point here, but this is a really great way to start understanding how your customers are going to think and address it ahead. And if you want extra help with your Etsy listing strategy, I do have my full ultimate Etsy checklist with all of my points towards setting up your store, creating listings that sell, including my photo strategy here. You can get this in the description below for only $9.99 right now. And before we go, I did promise to show you how I make videos for my listings in a way that's not going to detract from my design. When you're in your Canva file, what I do is I select, you're gonna see this little timing button here. If you can't find it, sometimes it disappears. There's a few ways to get it, but I find the easiest to just click on pages down here. And when you hit show page thumbnails, that comes up. I'm gonna change this to like 1 second or 1.5 seconds. And I'm going to apply it to all pages. I'm going to hit enter. And now what I'm going to do is when I save this file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a MP4 video. And I'm going to not select all the photos. I'm just gonna select my mock-up photos because I don't need all of my information cards in there. And then I'm going to download that. And then I'm going to use that slideshow as my Etsy video so that when people hover over my Etsy listing, then it's going to change, but it's going to change to the next color. So perhaps that is going to let them realize that, oh, there's many colors in here. Maybe I didn't like that original photo. Now I'm going to see the second photo and maybe I like that color better. And then it's going to show them another photo. So this way that they're still being able to see your design, your listings, and it's not taking them to a page or a video that's irrelevant to what you're selling. Thank you guys so much. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next week.